Alright, so for this section of the course, we will be discussing Excel's Power Pivot add-in. And before we jump in and start using this add-in inside of Excel, I briefly want to discuss what Power Pivot is and what it can allow us to do. And hopefully, once we start using the Power Pivot tool within our spreadsheet, you will have a better understanding of what we are trying to accomplish. So first, let's define what Power Pivot is. Power Pivot is a data modeling technology that lets you create data models, establish relationships, and create calculations. So what is a data model? Well, a data model allows us to integrate data from multiple tables, meaning that if we have multiple tables of data, we can create relationships between these tables to create a more sophisticated report. And using data models within Power Pivot enables us to work with larger sets of data. For example, in an Excel spreadsheet, we are limited to just a little bit over 1 million rows of data. And depending on the size of our data, Excel can really struggle and slow down once it gets over a certain amount of rows. But with Power Pivot, we can work beyond this limitation. So we can have even more than 1 million rows of data. And even then, we will still be able to produce smaller, leaner, and faster workbooks. Because with the data model, our data is not actually on a separate Excel worksheet. Instead, we are loading this data into the internal data model of the Excel Power Pivot tool. So with all that being said, I'm going to explain what the Power Pivot tool can allow us to do. So in the next few videos, we will be working with 3 separate data sets. We have the sales data, the customer data, and the product data. And inside these data sets have different types of data inside them. And if we tried to build a single report off these 3 data sets, we would manually have to combine all the data into one data set. And sometimes that's impossible to do. But with the Power Pivot tool, we can create relationships between these data sets. And to create these relationships, these data sets need to have unique identifiers, meaning that somewhere in our data sets, they share a similar column. And if our data sets have these unique identifiers, we can establish links between these data sets to create a relationship. And if we are able to link these data sets together, we can create a more detailed and sophisticated single report without merging these 3 separate data sets into one. So for example, if the sales data shares a unique identifier with the product data, we can pull data from both of these data sets and then use that data in our report. Well, this may or may not make sense at the moment, but hopefully once we start working with the Power Pivot tool, you'll get a better understanding of how we can create these relationships and analyze data from multiple tables.